Houston, we've solved a problem. At least it appears the Texas city has, housing 25,000 of its homeless in the last decade.
Imagine a nation that can project unimaginable military power across oceans, instantly mobilizing trillions of dollars and deploying advanced technology to the farthest corners of the globe. We have the resources to build empires, to fund endless overseas conflicts, and to secure resources halfway across the world. Yet, if you walk down the sun-drenched sidewalks of our most famous cities, you will step over the bodies of our own citizens, curled up on the freezing concrete, completely forgotten by the very system they once paid into. What matters more? Pouring our national wealth into foreign interventions and endless military dominance, or looking inward at a slow-burning domestic catastrophe that is eating our communities alive from the inside out? By looking at our streets today, we already know the choice that was made. The quiet decision to channel unimaginable resources outward has, directly and indirectly, allowed a massive internal crisis to fester. Millions of Americans have been pushed into the shadows, trapped in a desperate cycle of housing insecurity and substance dependency, with virtually no way out. Nowhere on earth is this profound American failure more aggressively visible than in Los Angeles. The so-called City of Angels has become a glaring monument to extreme inequality. Every single night, billionaires sleep in hyper-secure mansions perched in the hills, while tens of thousands of human beings survive in nylon tents just miles below, living with the terrifying reality that they have absolutely nothing left to lose. What is actually driving this unprecedented collapse on our streets? How did a city of such immense wealth become the epicenter of human despair? And how are political heavyweights, from the federal level down to the governor's mansion, failing to stop the bleeding? Welcome to Homeless Lens. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the quiet unraveling of an American metropolis. Do not look away. Part 1. The Illusion of the American Dream. As the largest city in California and the undisputed entertainment capital of the world, Los Angeles has spent a century selling a specific fantasy. It has long been the ultimate destination for dreamers, innovators, and hard-working families chasing the golden promise of boundless wealth and opportunity. And for a select few, that glittering promise is still very real. If you look at the economic data from recent years, the average annual income per capita in Los Angeles hovers around an impressive $90,000. This is significantly higher than the national average, and economic projections consistently suggest that the wealth at the top will only continue to multiply. But if you look just beneath the surface of that carefully curated prosperity, you will find a stark, uncomfortable, and devastating contrast. In the exact same city where global wealth continues to accumulate at record speed, an estimated 75,000 human beings are currently experiencing the horrors of homelessness. They are struggling through every single hour just to secure basic survival, often wandering the blistering pavement without a single dollar to their name, completely disconnected from the economic miracle happening in the glass skyscrapers above them. The chasm between those who have everything and those who have absolutely nothing has become impossible to ignore. It shapes the daily reality of the city, altering the landscape of every neighborhood. And the terrifying truth is that the official number of people living without stable housing in Los Angeles is likely far higher than 75,000. This widely cited figure comes from the annual point-in-time count. This is a visual census that primarily records individuals who are highly visible, living on the sidewalks or in open public spaces during one specific night of the year. What the official count wildly misses is the massive, hidden iceberg of the unhoused population. It does not fully account for the thousands of families living in battered recreational vehicles, parked in industrial zones. It completely misses the people surviving in makeshift, camouflaged shelters deep within the city's vast park systems. It overlooks those sleeping in abandoned commercial structures or seeking refuge in the subterranean transit systems where public visibility is incredibly low and government oversight is completely non-existent. The reality of the displacement is so severe that many leading researchers, sociologists, and frontline observers have begun referring to Los Angeles with a heavy, grim title, the undisputed capital of America's homelessness crisis. What makes this situation so incredibly complex and deeply unsettling is not merely the sheer volume of human suffering, but the environment in which it exists. This level of extreme poverty is unfolding side by side with some of the most concentrated economic power in human history. It is a city of profound contradictions, where luxury and destitution share the exact same zip code. Part 2. The Anatomy of a Fall. There's a deeply harmful narrative that circulates constantly in public discourse. You have probably heard it repeated on the news or in casual conversation. Being homeless is a choice. People who have never missed a meal often find comfort in the idea that those on the streets somehow prefer the chaos, that they chose to abandon the rules of society. But the reality behind this crisis is infinitely more complex and, frankly, much more terrifying for the average working-class citizen. There are countless, deeply intertwined factors contributing to this emergency. In a hyper-competitive economic environment like Los Angeles, where financial instability dictates the rhythm of daily life, the safety net is completely gone. Today, even someone with a steady job, a reliable car, and a consistent income can find themselves slipping rapidly into extreme housing insecurity. For the vast majority of the unhoused, the path to the pavement does not begin with a single, reckless decision. It begins with a slow, agonizing, and gradual series of economic setbacks that drain their resources. It often starts with a sudden, aggressive rent increase from a corporate landlord. It is compounded by an unexpected medical emergency that generates thousands of dollars in debt. It accelerates with a corporate layoff or reduction in hours that lasts just a few weeks, longer than a family's meager savings can cover. Taken individually, a single one of these moments might seem entirely manageable, but when they strike in rapid succession, they quietly and systematically erode a person's financial stability. In a modern American city where the basic cost of living continues to skyrocket, while wages remain completely stagnant, the margin for error has vanished. Housing, more than anything else, plays the central, destructive role in this crisis. Los Angeles boasts some of the highest, most punishing rental prices in the entire United States, while the supply of genuinely affordable housing has been choked off by zoning laws and development costs. As a direct result, millions of individuals and families are forced to spend well over half of their monthly income simply to keep a roof over their heads. When that delicate financial balance is disrupted, even for a brief moment, the consequences are swift and brutal. An eviction notice is taped to the door. This leads to temporary displacement, bouncing between the couches of reluctant friends or sleeping in the back seat of a car. And eventually, as options run out and bridges burn, it leads directly to a life exposed on the street. Once an individual is pushed outside, broader economic and social pressures make returning to normal life almost impossible. How do you maintain stable employment when you do not have an address or a place to shower? How do you save for a security deposit when your meager earnings are spent entirely on daily survival? What once might have been a temporary, solvable setback rapidly evolves into a permanent state of existence. The systems that were designed to catch people when they fall are completely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the need. The idea that homelessness is simply a matter of personal choice is a dangerous myth that blinds us to the structural failures happening all around us. The most chilling question is not why a certain group of people became homeless, but how many millions of housed Americans are currently just one missed paycheck away from facing the exact same reality. Part 3. The invisible epidemic on the pavement. While economic devastation is the primary driver pushing people out of their homes, we cannot have an honest conversation about the streets without addressing the severe health crisis unfolding on them. Substance use has become an undeniable, highly visible element of the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. However, it is absolutely critical to understand that addiction is a symptom and an accelerant, but it is not the only piece of this massive puzzle. Not everyone experiencing housing insecurity struggles with chemical dependency, but for a highly vulnerable portion of the population, substance use both contributes to their initial downfall and intensely magnifies the instability of their life on the concrete. Current health data suggests that roughly a third of the unhoused population actively struggles with severe substance use disorders. This means that tens of thousands of human beings are desperately trying to navigate the daily trauma of having no shelter, while simultaneously battling a relentless biological addiction. And in recent years, the landscape of the street has been fundamentally altered by the introduction of incredibly powerful synthetic opioids, most notably fentanyl. Unlike the substances that dominated the streets in previous decades, the current wave of synthetic narcotics has introduced a completely different and far more destructive dynamic. It is significantly more potent, incredibly cheap to produce, and its presence has reshaped the reality of addiction in ways that are deeply disturbing to witness. Its effects on the human body are often characterized by a profound, agonizing slowing of time. On the sidewalks, you see the results: individuals standing completely still for long periods, their movements delayed, trapped in a heavy sense of physical and mental detachment. This deep disconnection makes basic, daily survival nearly impossible. When an individual is living in an environment that demands hypervigilance just to stay safe from violence or extreme weather, this level of detachment leaves them completely defenseless. Over time, the physical toll ravages their bodies, while the psychological grip of the substance makes the prospect of navigating a complex recovery system feel like an insurmountable mountain. It is a vicious, unforgiving cycle that is incredibly difficult to break. Housing instability creates immense psychological trauma and physical pain. Powerful street substances offer a temporary, artificial escape from that pain, but the dependency ensures that the individual remains trapped in the instability. Addiction does not exist in a vacuum. It is deeply intertwined with economic despair, untreated mental health conditions, and the crushing reality of having nowhere to sleep. For people already living without walls, these factors lock together, creating an environment where achieving sobriety requires a level of superhuman resilience that most housed individuals could never muster. By looking closely at how these health crises intersect with the lack of housing, we step away from harsh judgments and move toward a genuine, necessary understanding of the human suffering at our feet. Part 4. The broken safety net. When confronting a crisis of this magnitude, the immediate response from the public is often to ask what the city is actually doing about it. In a vast, incredibly complex metropolis like Los Angeles, the social support system is supposed to play the critical role of catching those who fall. We must first acknowledge the thousands of dedicated, exhausted outreach workers, medical volunteers, and charity organizers who pour their hearts into the streets every single day, trying to save lives. But despite their heroic efforts, they are fighting an uphill battle against a system that is fundamentally broken. Over the past decade, local and state authorities have introduced a massive array of initiatives aimed at providing emergency shelter, mental health counseling, and pathways toward permanent supportive housing. On paper, there is a comprehensive network designed to address every stage of displacement, but the harsh reality of the street is that accessing these critical services is a bureaucratic nightmare. The core issue is that the sheer demand completely crushes the available supply. Waiting lists for subsidized housing assistance can stretch for years. For an individual living in a tent, trying to navigate this complex system is a nearly impossible task. How do you follow up on a housing application when you do not have a reliable phone, a mailing address, or safe transportation to a government office? How do you keep track of crucial identification documents when your belongings are subjected to constant theft or aggressive city sweeps? What looks like a highly structured, well-funded network on a government website feels like a fragmented, impenetrable wall to the person actually seeking help. The paradox of the Los Angeles crisis is the issue of funding. Massive, unprecedented sums of taxpayer money have been allocated towards solving homelessness. Billions of dollars have been spent, reflecting both the extreme urgency of the issue and the intense political pressure to fix it. Yet, the average citizen looks at the streets and sees the problem getting worse, not better. This naturally raises massive, urgent questions about bureaucratic efficiency, administrative waste, and the actual long-term impact of these massive budgets. Building affordable housing in California is a notoriously slow, wildly expensive process bogged down by zoning restrictions, neighborhood opposition, and endless environmental reviews. By the time a single supportive housing complex is finally completed, the cost per unit often exceeds the price of a luxury home, and thousands more people have already fallen into homelessness. In the end, the social support system in Los Angeles represents both a massive societal effort and a catastrophic administrative limitation. It reveals the heartbreaking difficulty of trying to align massive financial resources with urgent human needs within a framework that is constantly suffocating under its own weight. Part 5. Policy, Priorities, and the Heavy Burden. When trying to assign responsibility for the decay of our cities, it is impossible to point to a single individual or a single cause. The reality is layered, deeply historical, and highly uncomfortable for leaders across the political spectrum to confront. Yes, there are rare cases where a tiny fraction of individuals seemingly embrace a life outside of conventional societal structures, living without the constraints of a standard 9-to-5 routine. But they are the statistical anomaly. The vast, overwhelming majority of the unhoused are victims of a system that has squeezed the middle class until it's shattered. Public policy, dictated at both the highest federal levels and the state capital, has aggressively shaped the trajectory of this disaster. The decisions and approaches associated with dominant political figures, from the sweeping national agendas of leaders like Donald Trump to the state-level progressive policies of Governor Gavin Newsom, have sparked fierce, endless debate. Some view aggressive, enforcement-heavy sweeps as necessary to restore public order, while others argue that criminalizing poverty without providing housing is a cruel, pointless exercise. These intense political disagreements reflect a massive societal uncertainty about what effective, humane solutions actually look like and who should foot the bill. But we must look at the broader, macroeconomic picture. The priorities of our national government play a direct role in the decay of our local streets. When leadership decides to continuously channel hundreds of billions, or even trillions, of taxpayer dollars into funding endless overseas conflicts, maintaining global military dominance, and projecting power internationally, it creates a massive domestic vacuum. That is wealth, engineering, and resources completely extracted from our own borders. The financial impact of these massive global priorities reaches far beyond what we see on the evening news. It drains the federal budget that could be used for massive domestic infrastructure, mental health reform, and affordable housing initiatives. Ultimately, it is the average American taxpayer who is asked to carry this crushing burden. We are squeezed by inflation, heavily taxed to fund foreign interventions, and left to watch as our own cities collapse under the weight of underfunded social services. As new luxury high-rises continue to pierce the Los Angeles skyline, and massive amounts of capital flow into corporate development, the taxpayer naturally questions the true priorities of the state. How are billions allocated to homelessness, yet the sidewalks remain flooded with despair? Is the money being lost to a massive, administrative industrial complex that profits off the crisis rather than ending it? The situation is not a single point of failure. It is a massive, decades-long convergence of neglected domestic policies, misplaced national priorities, and an economic system that actively punishes vulnerability. Part 6. The New Normal. If you lived in Los Angeles 20 years ago, homelessness was a tragedy, but it felt contained. It was largely confined to specific, highly visible geographic boundaries, most notably the historic blocks of Skid Row. It was something that the average suburban resident could speak about from a comfortable distance, treating it as an isolated issue separate from the broader, vibrant rhythm of daily urban life. Today, that distance has completely vanished. What has fundamentally changed over the last decade is not just the massive explosion in scale, but the inescapable visibility of the crisis. The presence of profound human suffering is no longer restricted to a single neighborhood. It has aggressively spilled over into every corner of the region. You will find massive encampments nestled against commercial shopping centers, lining the sidewalks of upscale residential neighborhoods, and occupying the green spaces of areas once defined exclusively by wealth and development. With this unavoidable visibility comes a deep, psychological shift in the perception of the public. It has become entirely impossible to look away. We can no longer pretend this is an isolated, individual failure. The conversation has evolved drastically. It is no longer a localized debate about a few city blocks. It is a massive, national conversation about the intersection of extreme economic pressure, the collapse of public health, and the erosion of the American social contract. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of the current environment is the creeping, silent realization among the public that this might no longer be a temporary phase. There is a heavy, unspoken fear that this level of extreme inequality and visible destitution has permanently settled into the city's DNA. Los Angeles is no longer just a warning. It is a live demonstration of what happens when modern society completely abandons its balance. It reflects a terrifying question about the future of all American cities. How long can a society sustain massive, concentrated wealth while allowing its foundation to entirely rot away? Outro. The answers to this crisis are not simple, and despite the promises of politicians, they will not arrive overnight. But within this massive, overwhelming complexity lies a profound opportunity for all of us. We have the choice to look closer, to demand better from our leaders, and to radically rethink what it means to build a society where human life is valued more than corporate profit or foreign military dominance. We must push past the political talking points and look directly at the human beings surviving on the concrete. This is not just a Los Angeles problem. This is an American reality that is coming to every major city. Unless we fundamentally change our priorities, how does seeing the reality of these streets make you feel? Do you think the billions spent on this crisis are actually helping? Or is the system broken beyond repair? I want to hear your raw, honest thoughts. Drop down into the comments right now and let your voice be heard. We read every single one. If this deep dive opened your eyes, challenged your perspective, or made you think differently about the world outside your window, please hit the like button. Share this video with someone who needs to see the truth. And most importantly, hit subscribe and join us here at Homeless Lens. Together, we will continue to uncover the stories that the system wants you to ignore. Stay aware, stay compassionate, and we will see you in the next video.